Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's Reddit stories are from MaliciousCompliance. Story 1 is by Condessa Stace. Crickets be terrifying. A few years ago, I got a new phone. I let the vendor set all the notifications since I wasn't and still am not really into phones, talking or texting, and it seemed easier to let him do it. At the time, I had a desk job and would set my alarm to go off and remind me to do some walking during breaks. Otherwise, I would sit all day and have noodle legs while trying to get home at the end of the day. So the day after I bought my phone, I go to work. Morning break I remembered without needing the alarm, so I shut it down before it could sound off. Lunch comes and goes. So then it gets to be late afternoon. My office partner and I are in our after-lunch slowdown. Not quite sleepy, but less than alert. Then my phone alarm goes off. After office partner and I peeled ourselves off the ceiling, I frantically pawed at the phone for a while before finally shutting off the alarm. The vendor had set all the notifications to Reveille. You know, the Army wake-up trumpet song. Just in case anyone doesn't remember how it goes. Yeah, that one. I used to play that on trumpet for warm-ups back in the day. I apologized to my office partner over and over again. WTF, Condessa, TF, and let him watch while I figured out how to change all the notification settings to something less alarming. I set it to crickets. I thought the sound was annoying enough to get me up and walking, and nobody is afraid of crickets, so I was safe there. Or so I thought. Office partner and I got a kick out of telling that story every chance we got and always got a laugh until one Friday evening I was leaving late in the elevator with some stragglers and I get one of my rare texts. Granted, it sounded really loud in that tiny elevator, but I was shocked to see the mean girl sneers on everyone's faces. One of the ladies said, "That's your ringtone?" Yes, and I tell the story of how it came to be the default and end with, "Because nobody is afraid of crickets." More sneers and a sulky, "Some people are afraid of crickets," from the back. Then the one who spoke up, I guess she was the leader or whatever, begins telling me how to change the volume and ringtone so as to not upset the others. I'm not a phone person, so I would have been fine with that. The problem was that she added condescending to the sneer. That opened it up for the rest of the women to ramp up the sneers and condescending remarks. I basically shut down at that point because watching a bunch of 30-somethings turn into a high school mean girls was freaking me out. Over a ringtone. Monday morning rolls around and I get called into my supervisor's office. She looks very, very embarrassed. So embarrassed that it took her a few tries to get out what she had to say. Apparently the mean girls had complained to their boss about my vile ringtone and insisted that she do something about it. She complained to my boss. And my boss had lower seniority. She basically apologized for making me change my ringtone. So I went back to my office and told office partner the whole story. We stared at each other for a few moments before we started laughing. "I know what you're going to do, Condessa. Go for it." Then I changed all the notifications back to Reveille. Not gonna lie, that's not the most malicious compliance I've ever seen. It's just compliance. You didn't bother anybody or maliciously do anything to anybody except maybe your office partner. But I cannot imagine why they complained to your boss about the text message thing. And why would she mandate you change it? It makes me think there might have been some other thing in the sound file that they heard that they didn't want to hear. Because just crickets, that's not a big deal. Our next story is by Sweet Secretary 2221. Minor malicious compliance that felt really satisfying. I'm a 17 female and I'm a very outgoing person. I'm super extroverted and jolly around others. Whenever I meet someone, I'll greet them with a big hug and a smile on my face. To be honest, most people are really happy when I hug them and it makes me want to do it even more, if that makes sense. A few weeks ago, a friend of mine, let's call her Tam, saw me hug a mutual friend. She immediately said, "You greet people as if they're your long-lost lovers. God, that's so cringe." I've been told it's cringe in the past, but the long-lost lovers thing was new, so I decided to do a little bit of mischief. When I showed up to class the next day, I hugged every one of my friends except Tam. When I'd hugged everyone, I walked over to Tam and I just shook her hand real slow, making eye contact the whole time. The awkwardness was palpable. This was 3 weeks ago, and now Tam nearly begs me to hug her because the handshake is somehow awkward. I just say, nah, you said it was cringe. I don't know whether it counts as malicious compliance, but darn, I love the look on her face when I shake her hand. Edit. No, I don't go around hugging strangers. I don't hug people that have told me they don't like physical contact. No, I don't hug random men. My academy is an all-girls one too, so no strange guys whatsoever. You gotta be careful with that, OP, because there's a lot of people in the world that won't tell you that they don't like physical contact, and they could be enduring it just to be kind. But you are gonna encounter people who don't like to be touched and won't tell you that they don't like to be touched. Our next story is by Lady Nut Bar. I cut lettuce how they wanted. I work somewhere that sells pizza. At my store, we do not get the veggies pre-cut. We cut them by hand, minus the mushrooms and black olives. This includes lettuce, tomato, green peppers, and onions. A customer ordered taco pizza. It is topped with cheese, lettuce, tomatoes, and chip crumbles. He called in after getting home to yell at an employee about the size of the cut lettuce. Then he came in and threw an absolute tantrum over the lettuce. Like full-on meltdown, cussing at the employees, yelling at other guests who were telling him to calm the F down. Well, last night he ordered again. In all caps, the note he ordered online, he wrote, "Cut the effing lettuce smaller." Alright, bet. Cue malicious compliance. I took the measured amount of lettuce out and minced the F out of it. It was basically lettuce confetti when I was done. Topped his pizza. He checked it before he left and said, "Are you effing serious? This is ridiculous. I'm not paying for this and I'm never coming back again. You people are effing stupid. I'm calling corporate." To begin with, it was like 1 inch by 2 inch, so not even that big. Literally no one else had ever complained. And the order description says chopped lettuce, not shredded lettuce, so we're cutting it to spec anyway. One of the teenage employees quipped to me that if he thinks the lettuce is so big, they feel sorry for his wife. That is so dirty. OP, let us make fun of this guy, for he is absolutely absurd for doing that. There are times when I've enjoyed lettuce that's kind of shredded instead of chopped finely. There's a certain place that makes subs in upstate New York, and the place is called Dreck Subs, like J-R-E-C-K. We always said just Dreck. And for some reason, they always shred their lettuce instead of chopping it up, and it's so good. For some reason, when you do that with iceberg lettuce, it makes it so juicy. But I haven't had a sub from there in so long, and I would love to have one again. Because it used to be my favorite sub place, the shredded lettuce, and they had this bread that was very, almost spongy to eat. It was delicious. I don't know what it is about shredded lettuce that makes it taste juicier, but for some reason it just does. That does not give him the right to flip out on you guys for the lettuce not being cut small enough for him. Tell me how hard it is to talk to the employees and say, "Hey, could you dice my lettuce up a little bit more? I like it pretty fine." Then you won't get somebody making lettuce confetti. Our next story today is by Affectionate Damage 7. Need my uniform before you will give me my last check? No problem. This is a story from my mom and my grandmother. They gave me permission to post. Quite a while ago, both my mom and grandmother worked for one of the local casinos. At the time, the casino had a 90-day trial and then you would get insurance. During the course of them working there during the 90-day trial, the casino switched their policy to 18-month trial before getting insurance. So they then proceeded to find reasons to fire all of their employees who are coming up on the 90 days so that they would not be grandfathered in. My mom knew this was coming because she saw someone who had gotten hired a little bit before her get fired for ridiculous reasons. So when she got called in the office that day after she had to go to the hospital for a severe allergic reaction, she knew what was coming. They marked it as a no-call, no-show because she started having a severe allergic reaction on shift and her EpiPen didn't work. She walks into the office. She's informed that due to her no-call, no-show, she is being let go, effective immediately. She asked for her final check. They informed her that she would receive the final check after she turned in her uniform. My mother proceeded to strip down to her underwear and bra, dropped the uniform on the supervisor's desk, and demanded her last check. She stood there in her underwear for 40 minutes while they tried to convince her to turn the uniform in later that day. Nope. You said I'd get my check when I turned in my uniform. There is my uniform. I want my check. Eventually, they wrote out a check. She then started walking out, taking the long route through the casino, saying her goodbyes to all the staff and regulars on her way out. So a couple days later, when my grandma had her shift, she knew what to expect, because she was coming up on that same time frame. And my grandma proceeded to do the exact same thing. My grandma walked through the crowded casino in her underwear. It takes some serious guts to do that. I would not have the guts to walk through a casino in my skivvies or underwear. But at least they both found a way to get back at the casino and embarrass them a little bit on their way out. Down in the comments by Just Joseph. Came to pick up a check at the fast food place when I was 16. Day off. Was told I was being let go and to bring my uniform to get my check. I was in the middle of washing it. Went home, grabbed it out of the washing machine, tossed it in a garbage bag soaking wet, and plopped it on the counter when I got back. Why would you continue to spend your money washing this and drying it to bring it back to them? They can have it, they can take care of it. This is your FU to your workplace. They can pay for the cost of cleaning it. Our stories for today have come to a close until we meet again. Have the most spectacular day.